Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Dwarf Fortress with Malthus. Uh, where we left off last time, we have a basic fortress being dug, we have our food being processed, and we have our trade depot. Now, as you can see, we've chopped a considerable amount of wood, so today's going to be rather slow. I think I'm going to do a 20-minute episode, which should get us to our first caravan, hopefully, and it should get us to our first migrant wave, so we can explore some, you know, migrant mechanics. A couple things we need to do right off the bat. Right off the bat here is we need to make a couple of doors so that we can create offices for two nobles. And then we also need to create a dormitory right there. And what that'll do is anyone who needs to sleep can automatically go into there and pick a bed. The beds are communal, so it won't give that much of a mood buff, but it's better than nothing. Our guy's already going on it, and basically, for the next little bit, our guys are going to just kind of be moving around the map and storing stuff for us. Let's see if we've got any doors. One door, no door. Okay, so we're still waiting on one more door. Let's see if we have any extra chairs I can throw down in the dormitory. We do. Nice. Okay, well, we got two. That's fine. Basically, dwarves like to sit down when they eat, when they socialize, stuff like that, when they pray. They like to have chairs available. It's not necessary, but it helps to negate some of the negatives. We're moving into a new season. I've got it set up on seasonal saves. Highly recommend. Even in this current state, it's not the most stable game. I've had it before where I'll play for a good 30 minutes with it being on yearly saves only, and I'll lose that entire time playing because it'll crash. So if you're new to the game, highly recommend set it to seasonal saving, and you can do that from the menu, which we'll get into here in a little bit. So our second door should be done and moved into place. Not only do they have to wait till they make it, but you also have to wait for them to move it into the stockpile. And so sometimes it takes a little bit. Not a huge deal. As you can see, our rock pots that we started last week, or yesterday, have been starting to be made. And what happens is when we get our first migrant wave, we can start to create alcohol, and we can also start storing our food in those pots. That allows you to have a larger amount. It'll allow you to have a denser resource pile, which is actually really important later in the game. It's not uncommon for me to have just like from here to like all the way over here full of food and drink for my dwarves. It's actually really important because if you get a long siege, one of the things that can help you the most is you can just shut the door, you know? We're going to build a small farm here. It's a pretty low priority. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. It's a low priority, but what we're going to do is we're going to set it up to be a different crop every season. We're not going to fertilize it or anything because we don't really need to right now. Looks like we got some more beds we can add to our dormitory. That's good. Furniture, bed, we'll space them out a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. Nope. And we can make our offices. Office. They aren't overlapping. Well, this one's just wrong. Sorry. Beep, boop. As you can see, I went to make two offices, but ended up making one large office. Multi. Okay, we're going to go into our nobles, and we are going to assign a bookkeeper, and I'll do my herbalist, and we need our manager, which will do our farmer. I normally don't like to do anything with my miners, and I don't like to do anything with my cook because I want them to be available all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into here. Don't show me that again. We're going to add our manager. We're going to add our bookkeeper. We're going to make sure our bookkeeper is set to the highest level of accuracy for bookkeeping. It takes more time. You can definitely not do that if you don't want to, but it will give you a completely accurate, like 100% accurate understanding of what is in your base. Okay, so we know we have plum helmet seeds, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to do cave wheat, and then we'll do plum helmet again, because we're going to buy some seeds during the first caravan. As you can see, our guys just kind of moving around, doing cool stuff. People are just going to kind of run in here. Let's see. What would be a good thing to set up for our first job? What do we have going here? Rock pots, beds. We'll turn off the beds. We have enough. So let's do this. Okay. We're going to make lavish meals. Always make lavish meals. It requires 1 solid piece of food and then 3 others. And that can be liquor or beer if you want it to be. I always disable those. Could also be eggs. Could also be plant material, meat, things like that. So one tip thing, so you can have it set to a certain number. If you want to change it to a different certain number, you hit the hashtag on the right and you do 50 or whatever. You can do up to that many. But if you want it to be infinite, all you do is you go to, so it starts at 10 naturally, and you go down to 1, and then you go down to 0, and 0 turns into infinite. And what that'll do is it'll always try to do this. So if you have no food or you have no room to put it, it won't do it, but it'll just be up here. And so, you know, your guys will always default to doing those infinite jobs. As soon as we get, I hope we get our first migrant wave soon so that we can start making our wall. Because I love to build me a vault. You know, good old vault. That would actually be something we can do. Okay, let's make mechanisms. We're going to make 30 rock mechanisms, and we're going to make, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. We're going to make 30 wooden cages. And we're going to use these as a combination of animal traps and goblin traps, basically. So that after we get our wall put up, we can create a barrier for them to get in. Almost any creature can be caught in a cage trap, and only certain creatures, such as like forbidden beasts and mythical creatures, can't be. And by then you should have an army to deal with them. So let's see what our miners are up to. Looks like they're kind of just chilling. So let's take away their dedicated mining that we turned on last time. That should get their butts moving. There we go. Okay, so our cook is doing bitter melon leaves, prickle berries, purple yams, and more prickle berries. And basically, how it works is when you add up the number of all of the ingredients, that's how big of the stack of roasts you will get. Roasts denotes that it's a lavish meal. That's all it means. Not like an actual roast or anything. As you can see, our people are just kind of planting plum helmets as they go. Everything is running smoothly. Got our cages. I want to make infinite rock pots, but I don't think we have that many. Actually, I'm not going to make infinite rock pots. I'm going to make 50 rock pots. Now, I use rock for almost everything because rock is incredibly plentiful when you get down to it. We're going to do some exploring. Let's see, we did some digging here. This is the furthest we went down. Okay, so we'll give our miners an opportunity. Um, After we get 2 or 3 migrant waves and we get basic industry going, what I'd like to do is show you guys how to dig out a great room and how to find a magma forge. Um, you don't find the magma forge, you find the magma, and you just kind of go from there. Guess our miners are doing other things, being all fancy. As you can see, we've got a considerable amount of clay ready to go. Less so in that pile, but we have 2 piles, so that's cool. They're moving their wood in. That's great. Our cages are getting done. Wonder if anybody's doing our mechanisms. Damn it, Steam. No, no one's making mechanisms yet. Oh, we don't have any stone. What am I doing? I'm a dummy, guys. I'm a dummy. Let's get our miners working. Now, we are going to make bedrooms pretty quickly, but we're going to make a great room first that we can use as a small tavern, because that's going to give a higher boost than having individual bedrooms. Plus, I'd like to have at least 1 skilled carpenter and 1 skilled mason to be able to make the furniture for said bedrooms, because once I make them, I don't want to remake them. I don't want to have to get rid of the stuff and try again. We are not having very good luck with our... Let's see if we can find a different rock source here. Preferably, I like to use jet. It's my favorite color of all the stones that you can find in this game. Oh, that's good. That's a iron ore right there. Kaolinite you used to be able to use to make ceramics, but you can't right now. Limonite's iron, so we can at least... Man, I don't want shale. I don't want chert. That's boring. Sorry, I'm kind of a stick-up when it comes to what rocks I want to use. It gets real boring. Everything you make is the same color. Dolomite is the raddest of all metals. I know it's not a metal. It's a reference to Futurama. Sorry. Oh, one thing about playing Dwarf Fortress that you'll end up learning as you go along. There's lots of different kinds of rocks. Not as much right now as in the freeware version, but you're going to learn a lot about rocks. You're going to learn a lot about different kinds of layers, what's in those, how flux works. We've already completed all of our cages. That's dope. Let's see if they've gotten to work on our mechanisms. They have. Cool. They won't use even though the clay is technically a rock, they won't use it. It has to be used in a kiln because it is a soft rock. It's considered soft by game standards, which means that you can't use it for things that are containers or finished goods without using a kiln. And I believe if you use a kiln to make a rock pot, you have to also glaze it, which requires tin. It's not something I've ever done because it's more complicated than I like to get into when it comes to... Oh, dude. What did I say? Dead jet. Let me make all my purple-black stuff. I know where we're digging. Sorry. Between that and rose gold, there's my jam. Nothing much else going on. This limonite will be good because it's a good source of iron. So you can use... It's an ore of iron. You can just kind of click on stuff. You can use it to make clay. See, the nice thing, it was porcelain. You used to be able to make kaolinite into porcelain, which was not as valuable as like a precious metal, but it was like a silver kind of, like it was something great if you had somebody who came to your fortress who was like a legendary potter. Ooh, we have migrants. So far we've got 2. You start out with 7. And it looks like we went from 7 to 9. Not great. Who did we pick up? Picked up a weaponsmith. That's great. And we picked up a doctor. Huh. Interesting. Well, right now they're going to be spending all their time moving stuff around because that's what we got to do. And we're going to do some exploring. So the way geology works in Dwarf Fortress is pretty realistic. What it'll be is there'll be different, like a sedimentary layer, or there'll be, like clay layers and rock. It'll be life supporting layers, rock layers, molten layers, lava, and so there's like the further you go down, the higher a chance you have of running into igneous, or like if you spawn near a volcano, you'll have that. Sedimentary is probably the most common, and then there's metamorphic all over the place, especially mid-tier, and you'll just kind of learn which rocks go with which. But as you can see, we've kind of run into a little vault of jet, and I'm going to use that because it is straight up my favorite. We've also got a magnetite, which is another ore. We're going to be rolling in iron and not much else. Haven't found any copper ore, I don't think, yet. But honestly, in this game, if you don't make all your weapons out of iron or steel, you're doing something wrong. That's just kind of how it works. I never looked at this. Let's see what's going on. Our miners and our doctor are fighting a giant armadillo. Oh, Jesus. They killed it. Nice. Well, we know there's cool things. I want to get some. We're gonna have to tame some giant armadillos, guys. It's just gonna have to happen. After we get this area mined out real quick, shouldn't take that long. I will go ahead and mark all 4 of these guys as mandatory mining. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on my wall. I like to have a wall pretty fast. It doesn't have to be big, but it has to be enough to keep out up to 5 goblins. So it's generally just a small wall and a door. If you lock a door, nothing can get through that isn't a building destroyer, such as like a troll, or I believe humans can use like siege engines. I don't know. I never really mess with the humans because they're my bros. But as you can see, we're starting to get more rock. All this chert, all this jet, it'll all be used for stuff. And not gonna lie, if with how rich this level's been so far, we're probably gonna be hollowing it out. Now I will remind everyone. I think I forgot to mention this actually. I don't play with cave-ins on because that's dumb. It makes it easier, that's true, but it makes it more fun because you can just kind of build whatever you want. You can haul out a whole rock layer and it's not going to kill anyone. Yeah, I know it's easier. It's not pure or whatever. I also don't like aquifers. That's not realistic, right? Because aquifers are fairly realistic to real life, but it's an unnecessary complication that I don't need in my life. I've got 2 little kids. I'll let them. They can complicate my life before I'll let aquifers. I don't want to have to sit there for the first 25 in-game days pumping water out of a small area. As you can see, we're just using our clay to make a small square fortress. And what we'll do is we'll go in afterward. We're going to mark you, because I want them to cut that down. And then we're going to pick an area to be our front door. I right here. So cancel construction there. And we will build out. We will then build down. Dang. We'll have to wait a little bit. Build a few more doors. If you don't specify, it automatically sits to 10. That's a pretty good number. I'm going to modify my... Go away. Go away. Modify my pasture. Make sure it's inside of my area. And so the nice thing about building everything out of clay, which I made a short of this, if you build everything out of clay, all your walls are one color, which if you're a little OCD like me, it kind of helps. So we're in the late summer. The first caravan should come into town. Early autumn, in which actually we need to pick a broker. We have one dude who's a novice appraiser. That's the guy we started out with. It's very necessary to have someone like that. Make sure that they actually have all the stuff they need to finish their wall constructions. Have we got enough clay now? No. But we can build a smaller part of the wall. So the goal, here's the goal. What we're going to do is we are going to, long term, create, probably go out to about here with our wall area. And we're going to go about 3 or 4 blocks, Z blocks high, like boom, 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 like that. And then we will dome it off. And what that'll allow is we'll be able to have outdoor plants. We will be able to have trees grow inside. We'll be able to basically forage for whatever we need inside of our little dome. And in case there's any sort of siege, all we have to do is shut the door. Our dudes won't go outside unless we need to. What I also probably do... Holy crap, that's a big-ass tree. Cut it down. Anyway, I'm going to create a reservoir right here. And we'll drag some water over and create like an underground siphon. We might fill this up too, just so we have a little lake here. And what that'll do is it'll give us a fresh source of water, even if all of this water dries up in midsummer at some point. Obviously it didn't this year, but you never know. The wall's coming along. Everything's going fine. Obviously we got having a good time up here. You know, we got a shell. Good to know, because we might need a shell for some sort of strange mood. But I think for right now, that's going to have to be the episode. Oh, fruits dropping from the trees. Coffee cherries, pomelos, tea tree. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is Malthus, and I'm having fun. Sorry for the sound quality. I'm working with like a 10-year-old microphone and, you know, Amazon Basic cables. So I'll try to improve it, and I hope you can stick around. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.